The last word. "And to my daughter Claire," my father said, voice steady, polished, and cruel, "who will receive nothing, because that's exactly what she deserves. They say funerals bring out the truth in families. Ours didn't wait that long." My truth came before the lawyer even opened his folder. I was seated at the far end of the Ashford Estate's great room, too far from the fireplace to feel its warmth, but close enough to hear every breath in the silence. Crystal glasses clinked. Someone whispered. Someone cleared their throat. The tension in the room cracked louder than the fire behind me. Then my father stood. Charles Ashford. Silver hair perfectly styled. Navy suit tailored like armor. He raised his glass with the kind of smile that never reached his eyes. "To my son Logan," he began, "who will lead the next chapter of our legacy." He turned toward me but didn't meet my eyes. "And to my daughter Claire, who will receive nothing, because that's exactly what she deserves." The words hit like a slap. Aunt Evelyn gasped and dropped her champagne. Someone muttered, "Jesus Christ." Even the housekeeper froze. But not me. I didn't flinch. My spine stayed straight, hands folded in my lap. My heart thundered in my chest. But my face remained calm, unreadable. The smile on my lips wasn't for show. It was armor. Because I already knew. What Charles Ashford thought was a final power move was, in reality, the last moment of control he'd ever have. He thought I'd come to watch him win. I was there to watch him fall. Growing up as Claire Ashford meant learning one lesson early. Greatness must be earned, unless you're born male. I followed every rule they gave me. Straight A's. Student. Council president. A dual degree in business and environmental engineering from Stanford. At 23, I took over a struggling division and turned it profitable in 6 months. The board applauded. My father offered me a polite thank you dinner. Logan? He flunked out of Yale, twice. He was rewarded with a corner office and a new Mercedes, to help him focus. I was told I was too intense, too passionate, that I should soften my tone if I wanted to be taken seriously. Charles Ashford didn't see leadership in me. He saw fragility in a skirt. In boardrooms, he complimented my dresses and dismissed my proposals. At family dinners, he cut me off mid-sentence to ask Logan about his golf game. The day I handed him a detailed proposal for a green logistics startup I'd spent a year developing, he didn't even read it. "You're a lovely girl, Claire," he said. "Why not focus on things that make you more wife material?" That day, something inside me snapped. Not my ambition, not my loyalty, just the need for his approval. I finally understood. I could never inherit a legacy that was never meant for me, but someone else believed in me. My grandfather, Edward Ashford, didn't see a liability. He saw potential. In his library, surrounded by towers of books, he listened to my ideas, my fears, my vision for the future. Once, he said to me, "The real problem with your father isn't that he doubts you. It's that he knows exactly how powerful you are, and that terrifies him." At the time, I thought he was being kind. Now, I realize he was warning me. As his health declined, I was the one who showed up. Every morning, every night, I brought his medications, read him the Wall Street Journal, combed his hair when the nurses forgot, laughed at his terrible jokes, held his hand when he forgot my name. And one morning, in a rare moment of clarity, he said, "I may be dying, but I'm not blind. I see what you've done. I see who you are." Then he asked me to meet with his private counsel, not the family lawyers on Charles's payroll, someone independent, someone who could help him set the record straight. What I didn't know was just how far he was willing to go to ensure I wouldn't be erased. At the funeral, I wasn't asked to speak. I wasn't listed in the program. I sat 5 pews back in black, silent, watching Charles take the pulpit like a monarch at his coronation. My father was a man of vision, he began, a man of order, of family. My son Logan will carry that vision forward. Not once did he say my name. Not once. He wasn't just disinheriting me, he was erasing me. But I didn't interrupt. I didn't speak, because I knew something he didn't. There was another will. Sealed. Signed. Notarized. And I wasn't just in it. I was everything. 2 weeks later, we reconvened in the Ashford Estates drawing room. This time, mourning was over. The performance was beginning. Mr. Franklin Ellis, my grandfather's private attorney, sat at the head of the table. 2 folders in front of him, one thin, one thick, and sealed in gold wax. No one noticed the second folder, except me. Charles raised his glass. Again, "To my son Logan," he said, smug and satisfied, "who will lead Ashford Global into its next era with honor." Then he glanced at me. "And to my daughter Claire, who chose emotion over loyalty. I hope you find peace, wherever you land." A few tight, awkward laughs rippled through the room. Mr. Ellis cleared his throat, opened the first folder. "Read the expected lines. Art, property, jewelry." Then he slid his hand toward the second envelope. "Per the private and final directive of Edward Ashford," he said, unfolding the sealed document carefully, "the controlling shares of Ashford, Global, the estate, and all voting authority are to be transferred immediately to Claire Ashford." Silence. Logan choked on his bourbon. A glass cracked in someone's hand. My father stared. I smiled. Because in that moment, the room belonged to me. This wasn't luck. This wasn't revenge. It was design. My father thought he raised a daughter he could manage. What he raised was a strategist. The day he tossed aside my proposal, 6 months of research, innovation, heart, and said, "Why not focus on being wife material?" But I didn't argue. I went home and built a war room. I founded Steel Magnolia Ventures under a pseudonym, consulted for fintech firms, joined think tanks, invested in climate tech startups that actually made money. I studied, I watched, I waited, and every Sunday dinner where I was asked to pour coffee while Logan mumbled through half-baked pitches, I smiled and took notes. When Grandpa's health declined, I didn't show up for inheritance. I showed up for him. And when I saw how Charles was rushing medical papers, manipulating staff, pushing for power of attorney, I acted. I asked Grandpa if he trusted the family lawyers. He didn't. We contacted Mr. Ellis. Together, we drafted Clarity. "Control," my grandfather once said, "doesn't make you powerful. Clarity does." So now, as I sit at the head of the table, my table, I don't toast with vengeance. I toast with vision, because legacy isn't about who claims the title. It's about who builds the future. And I'm just getting started. The real inheritance, clear terms, third-party witnesses, multiple cognitive assessments, ironclad, untouchable. So when the envelope opened, it wasn't a twist. It was a trigger, a plan, years in the making, executed with precision. Because I didn't just survive the empire my father tried to keep me out of, I studied it. And then I built my own. At first, Charles said nothing. Glass frozen midair. Logan blinked like gravity had shifted, and then the lion roared. Charles slammed his hand on the table. The room flinched. "This is a farce," he growled. "You manipulated an old man. You took advantage of his decline." He turned to Mr. Ellis, voice climbing past polished restraint. "This directive is invalid. He was sick. He didn't know what he was doing." Ellis didn't blink. Calmly, he slid a folder across the table. "Mr. Ashford underwent 3 independent mental evaluations during this period," he said. "All confirmed full cognitive capacity. These changes were not only legal, they were intentional." The air thinned. My father's rage cracked, not from dominance, but from panic. He stood, pacing, barking accusations like a man trying to plug holes in a sinking ship. "You don't understand what you've done, Claire. You're not ready for this. You'll ruin everything your grandfather built. This isn't some girl boss fantasy. This is real business." I let him burn. Then I stood, calm, steady. "I've been ready for years, Dad," I said. "I just stopped waiting for your permission." Silence. Heavy. Absolute. And in that silence, for the first time in his life, Charles Ashford realized what he was really facing. Not a daughter. Not a disappointment. A rival. And he knew. He'd already lost. The next morning, before the city stirred, I walked alone through the glass doors of Ashford Global. No fanfare, no cameras. Just me. A black coat. A briefcase full. Of plans no one saw coming. My heels echoed through the marble as I stepped into the lobby I once entered holding my grandfather's hand, legs too short for the elevator's silver buttons. Now I held the keys. First stop, the corner office. My grandfather's old suite, floor-to-ceiling skyline, power in every inch. I stepped in, exhaled, and changed the locks. Not symbolic, tactical, because I knew Charles wouldn't leave quietly. He'd whisper poison in the boardroom, call in favors, leverage legacy. But he wouldn't get a single door left open. Then I got to work. One by one, I scheduled private meetings with every department head, not to issue orders, but to listen. Morale, burnout, culture, vision, the things my father never asked about. And I left a paper trail. Every signature, every improvement. Let him call me inexperienced, I thought. Let him try. I'd have receipts. This wasn't about holding power, it was about transforming it. He led through fear. I would lead with purpose. 2 weeks later, Charles stormed the boardroom like it still belonged to him. Navy blazer, gold buttons, rehearsed smile. Logan flanked him, smug and sweaty, gripping a manila folder like it held the future. The boardroom wall,